Okay, I would like to start again with the foundation of all good qualities, because it's good to always remember why we are doing this, and to ask, sorry, I need to put this on, and we ask for blessings or for inspiration. Yeah? So again, saying mantras and all this, why does it work? Because your devotion and basically your trust in what the Buddha says comes together with the powers of the Buddhas. Just saying mantras alone is not really doing the trick. Yeah, so this is it, that needs to come together. So of course we talk about the power of the object and all this, but the more open you are towards this, then the better it works. The foundation of all good qualities is the kind and perfect pure Guru. Correct devotion to him is the root of the path. By clearly seeing this and applying great effort, please bless me to rely upon him with great respect. Understanding that the precious freedom of this rebirth is found only once, is greatly meaningful and is difficult to find again. Please bless me to generate the mind that unceasingly, day and night, takes its essence. This life is as impermanent as a water bubble. Remember how quickly it decays and death comes. After death, just like a shadow follows the body, the results of black and white karma follow. Finding firm and definite conviction in this, please bless me always to be careful, to abandon even the slightest negativities and accomplish all virtuous deeds. Seeking samsaric pleasures is the door to all suffering. They are uncertain and cannot be relied upon. Recognizing these shortcomings, please bless me to generate a strong wish for the bliss of liberation. Led by this pure thought, mindfulness, alertness, and great caution arise. The root of the teachings is keeping the pratimoksha vows. Please bless me to accomplish this essential practice. Just as I have fallen into the sea of samsara, so have all mother migratory beings. Please bless me to see this, train in supreme bodhicitta, and bear the responsibility of freeing migratory beings. Even if I develop only bodhicitta, but I don't practice the 3 types of morality, I will not achieve enlightenment. With my clear recognition of this, please bless me to practice the bodhisattva vows with great energy. Once I have pacified distractions to wrong objects and correctly analyzed the meaning of reality, please bless me to generate quickly within my mind stream the unified path of calm abiding and special insight. Having become a pure vessel by training in the general path, please bless me to enter the holy gateway of the fortunate ones, the supreme Vajra vehicle. At that time, the basis of accomplishing the 2 attainments is keeping pure vows and samaya. As I have become firmly convinced of this, please bless me to protect these vows and pledges like my life. Then, having realized the importance of the 2 stages, the essence of the Vajrayana, by practicing with great energy, never giving up the 4 sessions, please bless me to realize the teachings of the Holy Guru. Like that, may the Gurus who show the noble path and the spiritual friends who practice it have long lives. Please bless me to pacify completely all outer and inner hindrances. In all my lives, never separated from perfect Gurus, may I enjoy the magnificent Dharma. By completing the qualities of the stages and path, may I quickly attain the state of Vajradhara. Everybody knows who Vajradhara is? Is the Buddha, like not Shakyamuni Buddha, but it's Shakyamuni Buddha when he gave tantric teaching, so he gave that in the form of Vajradhara. It looks a bit like Vajrasattva, but it's blue in color. Because then he gave the beings who were ready to receive tantric teachings, he would give them tantric teachings. And for the tantric teachings, to really receive them and to practice it, what they say is essential is definite emergence, or you yourself wanting to get out of samsara, then bodhicitta, then a good view, at least intellectual, about what emptiness is. Because otherwise you make this whole thing very, very solid and very theistic. Yeah, there's the Buddha outside, I pray to him, and this and this and this and this. So then when you have these, at least an intellectual understanding, this is why, these modules are built up like this. So that Tantra is at the end. Then you can say, okay, I want this. And what you do in Tantra is you take the result into the path. Yeah, when you have initiation, then you dissolve everything into emptiness again and again and again and again and again. And we'll try to do that right now a little bit. Like you absorb the Buddha into you. This you can kind of do, that's fine when we take refuge. And then we try to expand the mind a bit. So you take that result into the path, and then you perform the actions of a Buddha, meaning sending out light and purifying all sentient beings. Okay, so this is Tantra, so it has nothing to do with sex or anything like that. It can be a part of it, that is true, but not for ordinary beings like us. Okay, page 28 is Refuge and Bodhichitta. So there also, this practice of taking refuge, it can be very, very powerful, or it can just be, blah, 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 especially if you do it in Tibetan and you don't even know what you're saying. But it's good to learn it in Tibetan. Learn these things by heart, because when you have, especially Daga Rinpoche is here, so then he starts to say something, you have no clue what it is. Maybe the translator doesn't have time also to tell you the page of the page number or whatever. And then you're sitting there a little bit like an idiot, and you feel like an idiot, kind of trying to find where you are in your text. Whereas if you have these, refuge, bodhicitta, the dedication prayers, long life prayers, they're quite short to learn. So if you integrate it in your practice, you should anyway integrate that in your practice. Don't just clonk down on your cushion and start to meditate. The mind is not prepared. The mind is not going in the right way, Like first we kind of appreciate that we have these methods from the Buddha, and also we see where they can carry us, where they can take us. So the goal is very clear, is very far ahead. Usually one sits down, does mindfulness, usually if you don't have the framework of it, like the ordinary mindfulness just being taken out somewhere. But when you look how you develop shamatha with the preparatory practices, then taking refuge, bodhicitta, and all this, then the goal of your mindfulness will be much, much bigger. And it doesn't have to be refuge and bodhicitta. It can be anything, but to be clear, why am I doing this, is so important. Because if you do it just to feel good, if you don't have the right karma for this to work and your mind is very unstable, you give up very quickly. And then what? What happens when we give up something that is good? What happens to our mind?
Rationalizing.
We regret. The mind becomes tense and sad and all this. Yeah? And even also with refuge and bodhicitta, you can use your own words, that's fine. But the meaning of, I'm fed up with samsara, I want to get out of this, not just for happiness now. Of course, when you have a calm and stable mind, the same situation becomes much easier to deal with, and sometimes the mind is totally closed and you can see that it doesn't work. But when you know that, I want to do this because I want to go there, you don't give up. And whatever happens in your meditation doesn't really matter. So then it is free of attachment. And this is the problem when you're a very good meditator. Like you probably meditated in lives before, you can sit clonk, clonk, full lotus. You feel very comfortable and all this because the body still somehow, with the connection of the mind, remembers something. And you feel totally peaceful. I know people like this. They say it's their first course. They sit down, talk, they feel comfortable, they feel good. But then the problem is they don't want to study. They don't want to start at the bottom again. It's what when we said about this, the arhat. This is exactly that syndrome. Oh, I feel good. Why should I study? I seem to understand. I have an open heart. I have kundalini. I love everybody. La 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 la. So they get attached to that feeling, and then maybe the body gets sick. I had a case like this. I had somebody like this. Very good meditator. Could sit like a Zen Buddhist for hours. Really, you could see he was in total peace, totally absorbed. Like you could almost get jealous when you looked at that guy. But then he had, I I don't know how it's called in English. You know, it's like a skin disease that sometimes you have around here, sometimes in the head, shingles or something. This one, where it's itchy. It's whole, yeah.
It hurts.
It hurts. And there's no way you can meditate.
Yeah.
You need to move. You want to do. Your mind is, I want to get rid of that. His whole practice fell apart because he was looking for this peaceful state and not using it for anything. Yeah. So this is Arhat syndrome. You know, you work for your own liberation. You're sitting there. You go like, why should I come back to this mess on this planet or somewhere else where people don't do what I asked them to do anyway? Why should I have to sort out all these conflicts that all these Buddhist groups have all the time? You know, even at the time of the Buddha, don't think that the Buddha didn't have any problems with his people. You know, there's many stories how he tried to resolve the conflict, but it didn't work, and he had to almost force them to make peace. There's this story that there was it's too long to tell you the whole thing, but anyway, there was two groups, two philosophy teachers. It wasn't about philosophy, it was about filling the bucket in the toilet or not. You know, when you finished. I mean, not like this, probably like this at that time. So they fought, they made really two sides, and so the Buddha tried to resolve the conflict. They didn't want to. They held on to their view just like this. And so he said, okay, I'm going to the forest, I leave, bye. And at that time, his monks, they were only fed by the people, by the population. They couldn't, there was no supermarkets, they didn't have fields. You know, they relied on the food that people gave them. So the people came to bring food to the monastery. And after a while, they said, hey, where's the Buddha? So they said, well, he went into the forest. Well, when is he coming back? Well, I don't know. Because he said he's not coming back until we made peace. So the lay people said, okay, we stop feeding you. That's it, then they made peace. So even at the, you know, when you are, sometimes when you see what happens in Buddhist groups, right? Okay. Happens in all the Buddhist groups. I mean, I know many Buddhist groups. We're still human. We still have these, we cling to our views, and I'm right, and the other one is wrong, and it shouldn't be like this, and why is it like that, and da-da-da-da-da-da. We're still in samsara. Our mind is still very samsaric. We still don't understand what this is. If there's a lot of harmony in the group, of course it's great, but it's, you know, coming, going, is like, it's everywhere like this. So if it's harmony, it's great because you can really work nicely together and there's a lot of joy. If it's conflict, it's also great because then you can see your own stiff mind who doesn't want to give in and who, I'm right and the others are wrong and it's their fault and blah, blah, blah and this and that. So don't be so surprised. But this is especially for new people. When they have this expectation that everybody who is like involved in Buddhism since 7 months should already be a total bodhisattva and behave, you know. And then there's also this kind of demand that I, who am telling you these things, should be able to do it. This is why I always say, look, I'd love to be able to do them. I'm not, but I'm working on it. And it does, for you, it shouldn't matter whether I'm able to do it or not. If I give you the methods how to develop these mind states, that should be enough. Otherwise, you're like somebody, you have lung cancer, and you go to the best surgeon in the country who smokes and who coughs. But you know he's the best one. Would you walk out and say, no, he also smokes, he probably also gets lung cancer, so therefore I'm not going to see him? We would lie on his table. Because why? Because we know he has the best method. Whether he applies it or not is not of mine, it's not my problem. But from spiritual teachers, you actually demand that. And that can be dangerous because then, you know, then we lose faith in the teachings because the teacher is not able to put it into action or put it into practice. So this is why I'm saying I'm not a bodhisattva. I wish I was, but I'm not. Okay. So when you take refuge, there's also visualization that goes with it that makes the mind really, really wide. So you see also bodhicitta is a mind that is inconceivable. A Buddha's mind for us, we can try to explain what it is, but we'll never succeed. Because we try with our little box here, we try to understand what this immensity of an awakened being's mind is. And so when you read sutras, for example, which one is it? Diamond Cutter Sutra. Anybody knows it? at the end, the Buddha says, if you see me as form, if you see me in these 32 marks, you're totally wrong. Yeah. Even if you see me in the qualities, you are wrong. Because why? Because then again we make it solid, existing from its own side, and so on. Because also that is empty. Yeah. So, when we think, may all beings have happiness and the cause of happiness, when we really think that, and it's not just words, we need to expand the mind, and all of a sudden we see there is no end to sentient beings. So we actually get very close to the nature of the mind when we expand the mind like this. And then this is why all sentient beings, so that we get closer to this inconceivable mind of Bodhichitta or the Buddha's mind. Otherwise we get locked into, me, great, I, Bodhisattva, you know. This is why also it says in the Diamond Cutter Sutra, if a Bodhisattva thinks of himself as a Bodhisattva, he cannot be a Bodhisattva. He's not a Bodhisattva. But because he doesn't think of himself as a Bodhisattva, he can be a Bodhisattva. Yeah? Okay, so what you visualize is, maybe we do it in the meditation and then we take refuge, because it's good to take your time and to prepare the mind. This is what I'm saying before you meditate a bit. It's quite good to have, however long you want, you do a third, and a third. So let's say you have an hour, you do 20 minutes, 20 minutes. You start 20 minutes by doing these preparatory practices, taking refuge, like 4 immeasurables, 7 limbs, mandala. And you take your time to visualize it, so it's not just intellectual blah, blah, blah. Then you do 20 minutes of silent meditation. Just try to be there, whatever object you choose. And then if you want, you choose a topic that you explore for the rest of your meditation. So then you have the complete thing in your daily practice. And this is where the text that Shuki sent you yesterday, this is where it helps you. Or somebody else sent it. Tal is the sender. Wow, if these people practice, can you imagine how much merit you get from just pushing the button send? Wow.
We all gain merit. I mean, if Lama would describe the amount of merit, he would go for 2 hours.
Yeah, this is what I mean. So are you aware that every time you put send, that you should go like, wow, so great. They will attain enlightenment. I will attain enlightenment. It gives me the fuel. You see this whole thing about merit. People say, oh, now again, if you are a merit collector, you do it because of the merit, you will not get it.
But it's also empty.
Because you need to be a giver in order to collect merit. You need to collect it because you want to give it. Yeah, just come in, it's fine. You need to get it in order to give it, like Robin Hood. Okay? But don't rob banks, okay? No good. Because somebody will suffer. Whereas by the collecting merit you do with these practices, nobody suffers from it. Yeah. So you need to be, if you do, I want this for myself. It might sound like this, you want this for yourself, but on whom does it depend? Whether it's again attachment, just for me, or whether it's like totally open. On whom? On the words?
On our minds.
On your attitude. You know, all this thing, bodhicitta and all this, it can be so hypocritical. It can actually become quite dangerous. You can really change, or you can really hide behind the bodhicitta motivation when you say, I need to save the Buddhist group, therefore I have to do this, this, and this now, you know. Or people who always want to sit in front when His Holiness is teaching. I need to go there, I need to sit there, I need to defend my space because otherwise I won't attain enlightenment. Yeah. But actually what is pushing them there is that, not that they see Him, because you can see Him on the screens these days. You don't need to sit in front. But what you actually want is that He sees you. This is what you want. You want to be recognized by Him. Again, believing in some miracle cure there, you know, that if He sees me, if He knows me, then I'll attain enlightenment quicker or whatever. So there's a lot of grasping around these beings sometimes. Yeah. So if you always sit in the front, like if you live in Dharamsala, you always sit in the front. It might happen to you that one year he was looking down from his throne and saw this. He said, "Oh, Funny. It's always the same faces here in the front. Same faces, same minds, no change. I was there when he said that. I wasn't in the front. I'm never in the front, not because I don't like to be in the front, but actually I like to be comfortable, so I go to the back, and I don't like to fight. I'm Swiss, I don't like to fight.
So now we go back.
Huh?
So now we go back.
No, it's okay. I'm not the Dalai Lama. There shouldn't be any grasping about me. You don't get any blessing from me. So it's like, that's fine. You can here. Usually when I teach, the front row is always empty. So nobody wants to sit in the front. But it's okay. I know that I'm not the Dalai Lama. Okay, so try to sit in a comfortable position, and we try to do this visualization that goes with taking refuge. And that goes into like really, then the refuge becomes really meaningful. So close your eyes, take a few deep breaths, bring the mind to where the body is, as Lama Yeshe used to say. Then the mind is in the present. Let the past be. Don't plan the future, it will come anyway, and we'd have very little control over it, so at least we don't get disappointed when we don't have all these preconceptions how things should be. And relax, but try to be awake, fully here. Then you can start by thinking about a few points that we did just before when we read the foundation of all good qualities. The yearning, first we find, for goodness and happiness. I want to be a kind person. And that kindness very often is covered up by aggression, be it towards, myself, be it towards others, stopping to communicate, having tensions, having negative sensations, feelings towards others, not wanting them to be happy. But that's not what I want. I want to be able to live that potential of kindness, goodness, purity, wisdom, compassion. I want to become a non-harming person. That's the first step. Every religion has at its basis ethical conduct. And we can only have altruism if we have learned that. Strong wish, may I not harm others anymore. May I not be pushed by my negative emotions. Right now I have the opportunity to work with this. I need instructions. I need methods. The wish alone is not enough. It needs to be there, but it's not enough. So I have this, what is called precious human rebirth, which needs a lot of positive potential, that all these factors come together so I can practice. Right now, I have it. Isn't that wonderful? I have the conditions to attain what I want to attain, if I know what I want to attain. Then in order to get us going, we think, but this is not permanent here. I will definitely die at one point, and I don't know when. It could be in 2 seconds, even in one, even in half a second. I'm not aware of that. I think I have a lot of time left, but this is just illusion. It's not reality. Now we can even think about the time of death. What would I have to regret? And what kind of mind state do I want to die? And what will I take with me when I go to my next life? Our only inheritance is our karmic imprints. Nobody will take those away from you, the positive ones and the negative ones. They're entirely yours. You cannot share them with anybody. Not with your partner, not with your children. You cannot leave them here for your children to have them. It's the only thing we inherit is our karmic imprints that we take with us. So what kind of things do we want to put in that last suitcase that we take along? We have a choice right now. Then we think, even if I have a good rebirth, every time round, I'm still bound to these 5 contaminated aggregates that are in the nature of suffering. I might have very high pleasures, but they always finish, they always end. So let me see the causes, the root cause, wrong view about reality, which creates aversion and greed or desire. May I be able to cut that root by what is called the 3 higher trainings: ethical conduct, concentration, and wisdom. Already here now we know that we need a refuge. I wouldn't know how to do this if I wouldn't have the Buddha as a guide who has done it before me. Then if we want to develop that mind of bodhicitta, having an open heart to all sentient beings, then it becomes even more clear that alone we can't do this. We need inspiration, we need instructions, we need encouragement. So it's with these kinds of minds I want to get out of samsara. And I trust the methods of the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. That refuge becomes very powerful. Understanding we can't do this alone, but understanding also somebody has done it before me, knows how this is done. In order to trust the Buddha's teachings, you have to study them and to try them out. That's the only trust that would count here. Not blind faith. So you visualize in the space in front of you Shakyamuni Buddha, the one who lived like in his Nirmanakaya, his emanation form, the one who lived 2,600 years ago. These methods are still around, still being practiced. So we take him as a support, like his form, the way he looks, to wake up our own inner potential. Because our mind needs a form. We're not subtle enough just to be able to have inspiration with words or thoughts. So that form encompasses universal compassion, universal wisdom. Having total equanimity and skillful means to be able to guide others. So when we visualize, we also know the Buddha's mind is everywhere all the time. So it's not that he comes here now because I've visualized. My mind is becoming aware of it, that the Buddhas are always there by visualizing it. So my mind can connect with these qualities. Okay, and if you would be very precise, you can think, he's sitting on a throne which have at each corner 2 snow lions. It's the 8 fearlessnesses. Then on that throne is a lotus, which symbolizes renunciation, or this kind of mind who wants to be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. On top of the lotus is a moon, and the sun disk symbolizes the moon is Bodhichitta, not just for myself alone, but for all sentient beings. And the sun, wisdom. The sun who burns away all the clouds of wrong views and wrong attitudes, mistaken views. On top of that sits Shakyamuni Buddha, body made out of light, golden, beautiful, translucent, Whatever comes as a visualization, just use that. Don't make it solid, make it transparent. The main thing is that you think, even if there's no image coming, the Buddha is there all the time. I only need to connect. So you open up. Then also again, if you want to go into details, that's fine. Like he's sitting in full lotus posture, meaning his mind is very stable, cannot be shaken. His right hand is touching his right knee, touching that sun disk. It's called taking the earth as a witness. He is not shy in saying, I have liberated myself from samsara. I am fully awake. He takes the earth as the witness, it is said with that gesture. His left hand is in his lap, holding a bowl filled with nectar. It's the nectar that overcomes the 4 maras, or our 4 problems that we have. The 5 contaminated aggregates, which are in the nature of suffering, our negative emotions, and death, because it finishes the practice. The 4th Mara is some kind of negative forces outside, but the 3 are internal Maras. Buddha has overcome them. That nectar is basically his methods, how to overcome it. Then he's dressed in the saffron robes of a monk. His ears are very long, his eyes narrow, half closed. Again, very peaceful gaze on his face, because he knows suffering can end. He knows when the right conditions and causes come together, there will be no more suffering, because it's an illusion actually. And everybody has this potential to free him or herself from it. That's why the Buddhas are so peaceful. Then his hair is so black that it almost looks blue. And with his eyes are very compassionate, peaceful gaze that he is looking at us. So that is taking refuge for ourselves, but then we take refuge and generate bodhicitta. So you visualize around you all sentient beings who at one point have been our mothers. So if it is possible and it's not too difficult, you put the mother of this life on your left side, sitting there. You visualize the father of this life on your right side. If they have been harming you, try to let go, try to let it be. You're grown up now, this is finished. But they gave you this body, and with this body you're sitting in this room, hearing instructions how to attain enlightenment. Without a body you wouldn't be able to do it. So try to see just that. They kept you alive when you were not independent, when you could not look after yourself. These 2 people are, whether we like it or not, they are the most important people in our life, because without them, we would not be alive. Maybe in another form, yes, but who knows where, and who knows how. Then all the beings you are attached to, that you like, it's usually friends and family, if you have a harmonious relationship, you put behind you. So you think of them one by one. And you feel that when you, although it's mixed with attachment, but we still use it. When you think about them, you feel safe. This is why you can put them behind you. You don't need to watch them, what they're doing. Your heart opens. The wish for them to be happy comes very naturally. The wish for them to be free from suffering is also there. We don't need to go into big logical kind of analysis. So we connect with that mind, a friendly mind, a relaxed mind, a spacious mind. Then people you dislike, people who cause you a problem, or that you are causing a problem for them, they don't like you, you put in the space in front of you, closer to the Buddha. Not so that you can watch them because you don't trust them, but we put them very close to the Buddha, thinking they are the ones who need these teachings. May they be inspired by the Buddha. Now then it's not finished. So then around us are all mother sentient beings of the 6 realms. But you visualize them all in human form. But each one undergoing one of these 6 specific sufferings. The intense heat, cold and pain in the hells. We can take Syria, the moment. This constant fear of not knowing whether you're still alive tonight. Whether you found the resources that you need in order to survive. Then suffering of the hungry ghost, beings' minds were totally overcome by greed and want and need. Never finding enough to drink or to eat, to fulfill these basic needs that we all have. Then the animals who are exploited and who have a lot of fear. There's a lot of fear in the animal realm. You know, they kill each other. Not the same kind, but they hunt. Even the cats here in Tel Aviv, even though nobody, I think, is out to kind of kill them, but there's a lot of fear. Mice, rats. We can see how fearful they are. So you're either on the constant hunt or you're being hunted. Then we think about the suffering of the human realms. It's this always having to be number one, competition, not being happy when you don't succeed, when you make mistakes, and all the other kind of delusions that come with it. We're very good at all of them. This self-importance especially, taking ourselves so seriously and forgetting others. This is the national delusion of the human realm. Then the asuras or the demigods, they see the god realms who have their pleasures are much higher than theirs. So instead of being able to enjoy it, they get jealous and they go to war with the god realms. They try to fight them, they try to snack things away from them, but they never succeed. So instead of being able to enjoy what they have, they're eaten up by this jealousy, envy. Then the so-called god realms. There's a lot of pleasure there. Life is very, very easy. But the mind becomes very blasé, like being there, seeing that. It's very difficult to make them happy with something. They're kind of calm, that's true. But there's no joy. It's boredom, blasé. And on top of it, they're burning up all their positive energy. It will end and then they plunge again. On the way here, we talked about what it means for people who have been very, very rich, and then even in this life already, because of some kind of failure in economy or something like that, they lose their sources for happiness, which is money, comfort, status, all this, and how difficult it is for them to bear. So that's the Gaudriams. We always have to come down again. So you think of all mother sentient beings of this universe sitting around you, and don't just have it words, try to visualize. So you have to expand the mind and expand the mind and expand the mind, until you get some kind of idea what it means, all sentient beings. And then we take refuge, which is on page 28. We do twice in English, and or you want to do in Hebrew? We can sing it. What, in Hebrew? In Tibetan. Sangye chodan soki chonam la chanchu bardu dani kyapsuchi tagi chinsoki pesonam gi jola penchi sangye jupasho. Sangye chodan soki chonam la chanchu bardu dani kyapsuchi Tagi chinsoki pesonam gi chola penchi sangye jupasho. Sangye chodan soki chonam la chanchu bardu dani kyapsuchi Tagi chinsoki pesonam gi chola penchi sangye jupasho. Okay, then you visualize the Buddha because you trust him. I mean, that's what you just said. I trust the Buddha's teachings that I can reach enlightenment if I apply these methods. So you visualize that his throne melts into light, melts into the form of the Buddha. Then the lotus, sun, moon, disc also melt into the Buddha. Then that Buddha comes to the crown of your head, faces the way you are facing, and then melts into a ball of golden light. Quite small, like a marble. Then if it feels comfortable, and if you are serious with you taking refuge, it should feel very comfortable. You see that this light through your crown absorbs through the central channel into your heart. It's not the physical heart, it's the heart chakra, which is in the middle of your upper body, where our not developed potential is residing, the clear light mind, very subtle mind. So that golden ball of light absorbs into there. And then you think that this golden ball of light, which is in your heart, starts to expand. And as it expands, first it fills your whole body by expanding, dissolving. I know if you haven't done it before, it's not easy, but just try. Dissolving all the solidity of your body, by all the organs, the blood, the bones, flesh. Everything else that is in there, like the half-digested food from breakfast, pee-pee caca that is still in the body, everything, mucus. And you feel that your body becomes a body of light. Then that light expands further, so it dissolves even the outer layer, like the skin of your body, and it fills the whole room. As it fills the room, it dissolves everything that is in this room. The beings, the objects, the walls, the roof. Then it expands further, front, back, left, right, above, below, and you just let it expand over the sea, beach, the sea, up to the mountains, down into the valleys, all the cities, dissolving this country first, the neighboring countries, the continent, the planet, the universe. So then we shorten this a little bit because you can stay in that state as long as you like, and you can do your shamatha meditation there. And we feel that this state is very spacious, that is true, but it's quite neutral, it's a bit dull almost. It can be vibrant, but it's not infused with love or compassion. So that's what we can do now. We're still in that space. Then you just think, may all beings have happiness and the causes of happiness. Wouldn't that be wonderful? Don't involve your I in this, okay? Take the I out. Just be with that sensation of developing a kind heart. Wouldn't it be wonderful if all beings had happiness and the causes of happiness? When we talk about open heart, it's also wrong. Not an open heart, no heart, just space. No limits. All beings. May they be happy, may they be well, may they be loving and peaceful. And then we fill it with compassion. But because we see they're not loving and peaceful, they're actually suffering, creating more causes because of that for future suffering. Wouldn't it be wonderful if all beings were free from suffering and the causes of suffering, the negative emotions? So again, you don't have to do anything yet. It's just a wish. Again, take the I out. Not, at the end we say, may I be able to contribute to that? Yes, but first, just a wish. Wouldn't it be wonderful if all beings were free from suffering, and especially the causes of suffering, karma and delusions, like self-grasping, hate, aggression, jealousy, pride, miserliness, greed, desire, attachment. May all beings be free from that. So you fill that space with that emotion, a wish for all beings to be free from suffering. And then when that wish is there, then we can bring in the I, but not a self-existent I. We can think, may this combination of body and mind that I call I, may this one be able to contribute to the happiness of beings and to freedom from their suffering. Then we become aware that this is very difficult to do. We don't have enough positive energy, and we're still filled with a lot of negative energy. Like our own delusions are still quite strong. So then at this point you would do the 7 limbs, which I think you don't have in the books, but many of you probably know it by heart. So the 7-limb prayer, it's not a prayer, it's actually a practice, is to generate a lot of positive potential, to accumulate and to purify negative karma. It's antidotes to 7 negative minds. And you say reverently, I prostrate with my body, speech and mind, an antidote to arrogance and pride, that you can do this by yourself. We appreciate the Buddha's presence. We show our appreciation by making offerings. I present clouds of every type of offering, actual and imagined. So you can let your mind go totally wild and you visualize everything that you think is beautiful, exquisite, wonderful, healthy, whatever, but you are aware these offerings do not exist from their own side. They're depending on my mind, and this is why the Buddhas can receive them. The offering becomes the perfect offering when you think, I, the one who is making the offerings themselves, the ones who receive it, the Buddhas, totally empty of any inherent existence. And you fill the sky with these offerings. You give them oceans and oceans and oceans of flowers. Out of appreciation counteracts miserliness, stinginess, being very tight when you give, or not being able to give at all. I confess all my negative actions accumulated since beginningless time. So there, for this to be a counteract to shame and guilt, you need to have regret, healthy regret. You need to kind of have some kind of trust that you can get rid of that bad memory in order to transform it into a good memory, the memory of, may I never do this again. Not, I should not have done it. This, it just makes you very tight. This, you stay in the past, and then guilt, shame, embarrassment comes. Doesn't help. May I never do this again. We take refuge in the Buddha to protect our mind, and we do some kind of action to make up for it. We pay the debt. Then it becomes perfect confession, purifies negative imprints. Then I rejoice in the positive actions of all ordinary and extraordinary or holy beings. So it counteracts jealousy. So much good is being done on this planet also. We only also always see the negative things. But there's a lot of good that is being done. People trying to develop a good heart, to help others. Some actually without any self-interest. So we rejoice in that. We rejoice in our own positive potential to be able to be here and create more of this. Then we need to request, please remain until samsara ends and turn the wheel of Dharma for all living beings. That kind of purifies the karma that we have accumulated with the gurus or in terms of the Dharma by kind of criticizing, making fun of it, not practicing it. And at the end is the dedication, so we reaffirm to ourselves why we are doing this practice. I dedicate all the virtues collected for the great enlightenment, which means the enlightenment of all sentient beings. Okay, then the next part would be you offer a mandala. First the outer mandala, which is a perfect universe, so that you kind of develop the trust that a Buddha can manifest what is called the Pure Land, and you want to be able to manifest it so that all beings can enjoy it. So you visualize that perfect universe, you offer it to the Buddha, and then on top of it you offer everything that prevents us from being able to be fully awake. We offer our friends, our enemies, the strangers, our possessions, and we also give away our attachment, our aversion, our ignorance, and we ask for blessings to be free from the three poisons. We totally give everything away. Everything that we think creates happiness, but actually creates dissatisfaction when it's paired with attachment. And the wrong view of this is mine. Okay. Then you can stop the meditation. Actually, now would be the point where you start your meditation. So this is, I know it takes time. Yeah, we took what, maybe 20 minutes now? Yeah, about. But the time is really well spent. Instead of just coming and clonking on your cushion and then hoping for the best. It's like a bit like warm-up before you run a marathon so that the muscles warm up. Yeah, so try to remember it. Or it doesn't have to be so elaborate. Now it was quite elaborate. But it can be, at least, mind states, not just words. But we have the words in order to create the mind states, because otherwise it's difficult. If you have to come up with something new every morning, or whenever you start a meditation, it's difficult. Whereas you have these words, so you say them, and if you meditate on them like we did now, I don't know if you felt something happening in your mind, or was it like, oh, when is this going to finish kind of thing? How was it? Be honest, it's okay, you can say. Huh? What, yes? When is it going to finish? Yeah. Because there's no feeling yet. You see, this is what people look in the meditation. I want to be quiet, leave me alone. And then we fall into dullness. And then it feels good as you are in the meditation if your mind is used to it, but you go out, it won't work. You won't be able to carry it out. This is the thing. Yeah? You need to see the value of this. So this is why, starting it just blindly because it's here, it's not always helpful. This is why it takes so much time to try to explain what it is for. Yeah? Were you able to do some visualizations? Like, I present all types of offerings, actual and imagined. Were you able to visualize all the beautiful things that you give away? Was anybody able to do that? Yeah, of course, then it won't work. See? But who was able to do it? What happens when you think like that?
It made me very happy.
It makes you very happy. You don't have to go out and buy anything because the Buddha's mind is everywhere. They receive it. And for that, you need some trust. This is the thing. Yeah? That they receive it. The joy of giving. Can you imagine? The door opens, the Dalai Lama comes in. You give him, it's always the same example because I think it's really good. You give him a crembo because now the crembo season starts again. Now don't go, ooh, it's unhealthy. It doesn't matter. It's like, some people like crembo. So even though it's unhealthy, I don't like them either. It's far too sweet. But some people do like them. Why would you otherwise find crembos in all the shops? Yeah. So forget about the unhealthiness and think that he accepts it with a lot of pleasure because, you see, somebody like this, they accept the gift because they know you are creating positive karma. So they're so happy that you give something to them. We go, ooh, it's unhealthy. ooh, I don't like that, isn't it? So we can't show joy from receiving. Yeah? This is the thing. So then imagine he would bite into it and some of the white stuff would stay there. Yeah, and then afterwards it's over all the YouTube and you go like, I gave him this crumble. How would you feel? For many, many days and weeks, and maybe years, because you see him as so important. If you see him as important, of course, if you don't see him as important, you have to think of somebody else. Yeah. How would you feel? How would you feel? Do you know the Dalai Lama? No, wait. Do you know the Dalai Lama?
Not personally, but I know.
Okay, do you respect him?
Sure.
Okay, how would you feel if you give him a present, he accepts it?
You know, I was thinking about that because at the first moment I say it would be like joy and you know, a lot of like happiness inside.
Yeah.
But in the other side, I think that it turns to be about me.
Yeah, but don't go that far at the beginning. Use that me. You see, this is the thing. We think we have to throw out everything. Then from the beginning, we cannot. First, we have to build up this positive me that is happy, even with worldly happiness. So don't be afraid of that me, because that me who is happy at that moment is not harming anybody. It's still that me, and that I does not exist. That's okay. Otherwise, you're going too far at the beginning. And then your practice becomes very shallow and very, no, this is joy. I shouldn't have it because I feel this joy. Yeah? So just enjoy the joy. Okay?
Absolutely.
Yeah. And, you know, and on top of it, what I just said, he has that joy. You know, when you give him a gift, he will have that joy, the same joy a mother has when the kids do their homework. So the mother doesn't have that joy because of me, okay? Because she's happy that the kids have done the homework. The kids are probably also happy when the homework is done. Not so much me, but wow, great, it's done. Also, yeah? So it's, you know, if you want to dismantle your I or ego or me, don't go too fast. It has to be very comfortable for you to be able to dismantle it. So this is why with these 7 limbs, you know, when we start, as you said, when we start to, you know, all the things were really beautiful. So of course for you it's no rainbows, yeah, except for Nissim. So all flowers and perfume and music and this and that, and you just give it. So because we're very stingy, we're very tight, we're always afraid that when we give too much that we kind of, we're losing out, isn't it?
Yes.
Huh?
Fire again.
Yeah, we're kind of, then I will. We don't understand that having comes from giving. This is not a view that we have, but it is. And every time you give something, you feel rich. This giving is one of the easiest practices because you have the result immediately, the joy. If you're not afraid and if you really want to give, if you give voluntarily. This is why, I don't know how it is here, but I guess it's the same. This is why also Lama Zopa actually, he asked Vienna, which was a very, very expensive event, to do everything on donation, not to sell tickets or anything. Like the people had to register because they needed to know for the whole, but it was all on donation. I don't know how it came out, but he also asked, and in Bern we do everything on donation, and it's such a nice way of being able to do things, that people give what they want to give. If they want to give little, they give little. If it makes them happy to give little, then we're here to make them happy, so they give little. If they want to give a lot because they have a lot and they think, great, I can, you know, then they give a lot. And then you start, as somebody who gives, you start to experiment with it. If I give as little as possible, how is my mind? If I give as much as possible without any fear, how is my mind? So how can you start to experiment that when there is a price? You cannot. You cannot learn to give when there is a price. So this is why. This is why it's so nice, this whole thing on donation. And also, if you would have to pay for what you get, none of you could participate here. I wouldn't have been able to learn all this because it's priceless. I mean, we learn methods to attain lasting happiness. If you think what an hour with a psychotherapist costs, who only brings you to normal unhappiness, he can't get you any further. Then if they start to read the book with the healing Buddha, maybe then, and they start to apply these methods, maybe they can get you further also. But a normal psychotherapist, he brings you to normal unhappiness. Not exaggerated unhappiness, but normal unhappiness. Not from me, Freud said it. Freud said, like, psychotherapy can only bring you to normal unhappiness. Not to lasting happiness. These methods can bring you to lasting happiness. And again, I'm 15 minutes over, I think, so we make a break now. Okay? But, yeah? Okay, so I can go on until 2 o'clock, you know. If you tell me, no, it's okay, I just continue, so be careful what you're saying. So, does it make sense what I'm saying? Yeah? And as I say, visualization is a skill, so you have to think, you have to use thoughts, and then they go into pictures. Now, of course, people say, I can't visualize, but please close your eyes and visualize the shop where you usually shop. Close your eyes. I'm not your shop where you shop. Does a picture appear? Or your front door of your house, does a picture appear? Of course. Why? Because you're exposed to that every day, every day, every day, every day. Makes imprints on your mind, and then the imprint is there. And actually science says, when you start to put these things, to measure your brain, whatever lights up, you cannot see whether it's imagination or whether it's the actual eye seeing it, whether it's visualization or the actual eye seeing it. Because what is transmitted to the brain is not what the actual eye is seeing. Well, yeah, what the actual eye is seeing it, but then if you have thoughts in your eyes and this and this and this, it's not what is actually there, let's say like this. It depends on the state of your eyes. I take off my glasses, I don't recognize you anymore. So do you exist like this, like boo? No. I know that it's because of my eyes and maybe because of my brain, I don't know, so therefore I need glasses. Yeah? So what we see or what we perceive is definitely not what is there. That has a lot to do with the mind. So the more in a positive state the mind is, then the purer we see the things. The purer your mind, the better you see. Yeah?
Can I just ask a question about giving donation, giving away things?
Yeah.
I find sometimes that it seems like a very arbitrary decision.
Yeah, of course.
I have 3 pairs of shoes. Do I need 3 pairs of shoes? Okay, I'll give 2 pairs away. And then I have 1. I have a TV. Do I really need the TV? Maybe I'll give it to somebody else.
Okay.
And then where do you stop? I could give everything. Or I could give something. And you never, it says, well, all right, I have 5 plates, I'll give 3 plates away and I'll keep 2.
Yeah.
Why did I say 2? I don't know. It's some kind of arbitrary decision.
It is.
That just feels...
It totally
okay.
is. It's also the same way you look into your wallet. You look at, yeah, you have to find out that whole thing. Why you're doing this, how you're doing this. Nobody says you should give everything. Did you hear? This is why we learn first to give with the mind. So that the fear of giving is kind of gone. Yeah. Actually, they say, Shantideva who says, first by giving, you learn to give vegetables. When somebody's hungry, and you see that, well, I've eaten my breakfast, so okay, this is lunch, but I think I can survive until the evening. So we give him the plate. And we're left with nothing. This is actually the end then. We're left with nothing, but with a happy mind. So we can't start there because we'll be very unhappy, So you have to give in a way that it makes you happy. So you have to check after you've... You have to check after you're giving. How do I feel now? So of course if it's, okay. Also, the 3 pairs of shoes. Which pair are you keeping? Obvious, the new one, isn't it? Like even, we have, if we look at money, so there's new banknotes and there's old banknotes. So when we pay, which one we give first? the old one. I mean, this is how ridiculous we are. So this is how small we start to see, how we cling to our things. But the problem is with these things at the time of death, we have to leave them behind. And if these things that we put all our hope for happiness upon, because many people do, and because the happiness is not in possessing things, the happiness is actually in using them, but also being able to give them away, is like when they're not there anymore, and you haven't recognized yet that the happiness is not in the possession, you suffer when they're not there. You suffer at the time of death because, you know, you hear maybe in the next room, your cousin that you always hated is snatching the computer. How would you feel? You see, we kind of, with these possessions, we think they're not really mine. They're just for me to use them. They're like on loan. If I have to give them back if they break, no big deal. There's a lot of attachment with that. So they say, actually, when you have problems giving, what you learn first, to give from the right hand to the left hand. Because some people's minds are so tight that, you know, they say, oh, I give, but I want something back. So then we have a lot of disappointments. You see, when you give a gift, you give your 2 pairs of shoes away to the person who has no shoes in the street, okay? Drug addict. Some of them don't have shoes. Then you come next day, he's not wearing your shoes, and you say, hey, I gave you shoes, where are they? He says, I sold them to buy drugs. How would you feel? You would get angry. And if we're really honest, we can hide behind the good motivation, say, because I don't want to sponsor him drugs. But it's kind of, I want him to wear these shoes. So that we're not, when we're giving, we're not really giving. You know, or when you give a statue, Buddha statue to a friend, or something else, book, a painting, and it's standing there for quite a while. All of a sudden it's gone. How would you ask?
Where is my book?
Where is my statue? If you don't ask blah, blah, here it is. What did he do with my statue? So we don't know how to give. So this is why we start small. But of course you need things, you know, there's the conventional reality. You need your food, you need things to survive and all this. But I mean, again, if we are logic, look how we are destroying the planet because of this thought, if I have all these things, I will be happy, it will make me secure. We're trying to find security in these things. And we're totally destroying the planet. And it's ridiculous. As you say, why do I need so many shoes? So the only way that you can reduce your things is you reduce your apartment. If there's so much space, we put it there, you know, just in case I need it. You know, sometimes we make the decision to clean the house out, to clean out a bit. So you take every sweater and everything and da-da-da and da-da. You look at it and then oh, maybe I still use it. 10 years later, again it comes into your hands. You go, ooh, maybe I still use it. You know? Now, I don't want to put myself up as a good example, but I have no home. I'm homeless. I live in different homes. None of it is my home. So also, well, you know, my papers are in Bern, so I have my books in Bern, but I only have one thing, so I limit it to whatever I can put, because otherwise it becomes a burden. So I have 3 pairs of shoes, I think. That's all. Like for the summer, for inside, and for when it rains. No, 4, sorry. Others who are closed but are not waterproof. So I have 4 pairs of shoes. For each one for an occasion. And I'm not unhappy about this. I used to have very expensive shoes. I'm very attached to shoes. Don't know if you know Eigner, the firm Eigner. Yeah. Only rich people know these things. So it's like, you know. So I used to wear those. I used to buy those and wear them. I had a Rolex watch, for example. Now this one is 70 francs or something. And it looks almost similar, actually. I know because of that. So this is it. So don't give away too much so that you're unhappy, but start to try to give. And give without expectation that they should use it for what I decided they should use it. When we give, the best way to give is, now it's yours. I give up control over it. Now, of course, if you don't want to give money to an alcoholic, I understand. But then give the money to an institution, for example, who helps them. Because very often this becomes just an excuse. We see an alcoholic person in the street, we don't want to give anything because they just go and buy alcohol, and then we say, oh, but I don't want to sponsor his alcoholism, but then we keep the money. So if you really want to give, you can give it to an institution. Anyway, we could talk a whole week about how to give. Tomorrow we talk maybe a bit more about this, what to give and how to give. Now we make a break. Until 11:45, is that okay?
Okay.
I'm messing up your schedule here a bit.
It's good. It's all right.
No, it's no good. Anyway, it's as it is.
It's just whisk clock.
It's as it is. Okay, so 20 minutes break.